You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Temptation's Ballad. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go! Are you really not? Cole let out a frustrated sigh and waved his hand dismissively. Can we move on yet? I don't see how my papa's love life has anything to do with this fucked up lab here. Cassius suddenly shook himself out of his stupor, his tail feathers puffing up defensively. I don't suppose I can convince you to keep your nose out of this. I mean, have you reconsidered my little request from earlier? If you agree to talk to the bishop, I might... There was a split second where the peacock seemed to ponder Cole's proposal. Artemi suddenly stepped forward with a determined glare. No. I beg your pardon. Artemi? I appreciate your concern, Cole, but I will not allow my own trifles to get in the way of our investigation. Trifle? This is your life we're talking about, and I shall do with it as I please. So no, we will not give up our efforts in return for a stern word with Her Excellency. I will not allow it. Cole wanted to argue, but one firm glare from Artemi snapped his jaws shut. I won't watch you walk to your death because of some high and mighty sense of duty. Artemi shot a Mariah smile. Then don't. Succeed. Find what we're looking for, and we'll go home to Mrs. Shrikewood's for a celebratory dinner. Cole ignored the little needles of guilt writhing in his stomach and forced out a smile. He turned back towards Prince Cassius. Well, you heard the chosen one. We're breaking into your fancy lab. I could order you to stop, you know. The Royal Army is at my beck and call. They could throw you in prison for disobedience. You certainly could, but will you? I can see tomorrow's papers already. Prince Cassius arrests investigators outside Royal Lab. What secrets is he hiding? Cassius wrung the edge of his robe nervously. I could order the paper silence as well. Of course, but there is nothing quite as loud as silence. There'll be whispers to fill that silence. People will talk. And there is no greater threat to a king than a restless people. Maeve stepped forward, her eyes piercing the prince like sharp daggers. Or you could save us the trouble and explain yourself now. Cassius gazed over the rusted gates towards the foggy facade of the 14th Laboratory. The ruined crater of stone stared back, cold and unmoving. A bitter, almost nostalgic look fell across the prince's face. I wish that explosion killed me. I beg your pardon? Cassius turned back towards the group with a defeated sigh. I am not a good prince, nor a good son, or a good anything, really, but my father, the king, chose a purpose for me. If I cannot fulfill even this, then what is left? Artemi's eyes softened. She stepped forward, her voice gentle. Do you follow this purpose because you truly believe in it? Or simply because it was given to you? Cassius bristled. How can I know what to believe in, if I've never known anything else? Artemi reached out and took the prince's hand, giving a comforting squeeze. Cassius stared at the touch, as though he wasn't sure what to make of it. I understand the feeling. It is frightening to lose a tether that has kept you grounded your whole life, but it can be freeing, too, I think. I think instead of blindly following your purpose, it is high time we make our own choices. The prince suddenly looked very small. Artemi's words seemed to have struck a chord as Cassius pondered in silence for several long moments. Cole was right. You really are less scary in person. The peacock squeezed the knight's hand, as though marveling at its warmth. His eyes suddenly widened. Wait a moment! You're radiating celestial magic! His feathers puffed up in fright as he stumbled backwards. You must stop at this instant! Huh? Am I? I wasn't aware I was doing anything in particular. Cassius glanced frantically about the lab's front gates. It doesn't matter. You must suppress your magical presence immediately. Quick, before you set off any of the lab's defenses. I'm pretty sure Artie does that subconsciously. She's been giving off that celestial smell since I met her. I smell? Cole, why did you never tell me? I thought you knew. Noodle complains about it every time he sees you. Never mind that. This lab is warded to hell and back to keep those things inside. If the wards mistake you for one of them, it will react accordingly. What should I do? I never had to suppress my own magic before. The group froze. The stone beneath their feet suddenly glowed with an eerie silver light. They exchanged nervous looks as the radiance slowly grew brighter and brighter. It's a glyph from earlier. It's like Artemi's magic activated it. Should we start running, or... Bad idea. It's like it's set to detonate if we step off of it. How did I not notice this earlier? It was completely inert a second ago. Father didn't bother hiding most of the traps since the fragments aren't exactly thinking beings. But a few of the traps are cleverly hidden with anti-scrying spells in case someone tried to smuggle them out. Fascinating. Let's pretend I understood that. Now how do we get out of this glyph without blowing ourselves up? Cole, what happens if we stay on top of it for too long? Well, you see, it blows up anyway. And Father liked playing with his food. This is the guy you were worried about disappointing? Artemi leaned forward with a determined glare, her arm outstretched with arcane lightning crackling at her fingertips. If I focus all my strength into dispel magic, I may be able to negate it. No, dumbass, you're using the same celestial magic it's designed to detect. It'll just go off faster. Before the words could even leave Cole's mouth, the stone beneath their feet rumbled with a blinding light. In a fraction of a second, they could feel the soles of their feet sear as the ground roiled like molten magma. Within mere moments before the explosion went off, Cassius whipped out his magic in a panic, his hand in a panic, his tail feathers gleaming with arcane light. Scatter! Damn. What an explosion, everybody! As the world disappeared around them in a flash of white mist, the muffled explosion of the front gates erupting in flames echoed in their ears. 14th laboratory. Oh, okay, everybody's in different places. Okay, oh, that's a work in progress. Alright. First laboratory, holding cells. 14th laboratory, first floor, holding cells. Just a moment ago, Sid was under the impression that he was about to be blown into smithereens. The next moment, he found himself flat on his face on a cold stone floor. There were muffled screams of an indignant hyena underneath him. Get off me, you plebeian! We need to leave before the wards go off! Sid winced as an explosion erupted outside. He peered out a nearby broken window where a tower of smoke billowed in the distance. Oh, I think that ship sailed, thankfully. Huh? Where are we? Calder shoved the large badger off of himself and frantically glanced around. Oh, the prince cast Scatter, didn't he? A mass teleportation spell. His Highness must have ushered us to safety. How kind of him. I knew the royal family couldn't be as bad as you say. It looks like we're somewhere on the first floor of the laboratory. Excuse me, inside the laboratory? The same laboratory full of explosive wards and traps? What on earth was His Highness thinking? We have to get out of here immediately! Hey, let's not panic now. Look on the bright side. At least we're still in one piece. And that ward wasn't really designed for us, was it? The prince said it was made to keep up things inside the lab. And they apparently mistook Artemi for one of those things. I'm honestly more worried for her than ourselves. Sid glanced around the strange hallway they found themselves in. Like the exterior of the lab, the walls were cracked with age, but they buzzed with the signature citric smell of active magic. The scent was strongest around the dozens of dark prison cells. Whatever was trapped here, the metal bars and wards ensured they stayed contained despite the ruined state of the lab. Sid tried to peer through the bars, but the cell occupants were obscured by an unnatural darkness. The shadows within the cells seemed to envelop their interior and obscure the gaze of any outside observer. The badger felt his skin crawl, his instincts screaming at him to keep his distance. It seemed Calder felt a similar apprehension. The hyena clutched Sid's arm with trembling white knuckles. He noticed the badger staring and cleared his throat loudly. Well, in any case, it appears we are exactly where we ought to be. Let us begin our investigation of this blasted place. I, for one, refuse to be the only person who failed to make a discovery. I can hear the mockery from that dreaded Chosen One already. I don't think Artemi would mock you, really. Yes, she has sworn to refrain from doing so at your request. Something you did not need to do, by the way. I am perfectly capable of handling things on my own. Calder forced out a haughty laugh and brushed his hair with a theatrical flourish. In any case, I, Calder O'Shaughnessy, have promised to lend you my expertise, and I intend to uphold that promise. Let us be off. The hyena marched towards the strange holding cells with a huff. Sid followed him, his fur bristling with every step. Excuse me. Calder crouched at the edge of one of the cells and brushed his hands across the dusty plaques. Sid squinted. There were words etched on the metal plates, but the letters flickered and buzzed angrily whenever he attempted to focus his vision on them. He rubbed his watery eyes and tried to ignore the wave of frustration bubbling in his chest. Calder shot him a quiet glance. The writing appears to be obscured by a spell of some sort. An arcane code. It is unreadable by anyone who does not know the cipher, likely to keep trespassers from uncovering laboratory secrets. Let me assure you, this has nothing to do with your own literacy skills. Even I, a skilled and knowledgeable wizard, can't read this code in its current state. Oh, thanks, the noble quickly continued, focusing his gaze on the prison bars. He reached out a curious hand. Mere moments before touching the dark metal, there was a bright flash of arcane light. Calder flinched and retracted his hand, as though stung. I'm glad these labels aren't protected by an anti-mimetic effect. It makes sense when you think about it. Presumably this lab was occupied by researchers at some point. They'd need to exchange information in order to make any progress. However, this is quite the intricate prison system, obscuring spells everywhere. What's the point of a prison if you can't keep an eye on your inmates? Are we sure there are still people inside these cells? Oh, most certainly. The wards on the prison bars are still actively restraining whatever is inside. Though, it may be inaccurate to call them people. What do you mean? Calder leaned close, his eyes flashing a faint magenta as he studied the arcane energy buzzing within the walls. These are very specific wards. I believe they're designed to imprison celestial energy and prevent interplanar travel, or more specifically, escape. Whatever is trapped inside, I don't think they are of this world. You mean, like how demons are from the infernal plane? The noble nodded grimly. Or in this case, celestial creatures from the celestial plane. It is very odd. Demons have been known to visit the material plane throughout history, manipulating mortals and feeding on their emotions. But the opposite is true for celestials. They are creatures of strict order and stay in their own realm for the most part. Is this what the 14th Laboratory has been secretly working on? Summoning celestials? I suppose it would be a great source of celestial energy. Sid scratched his head with a frown. Well, the prince did mention that the church used this lab at some point. They do a lot of celestial magic and stuff, right? Celestial magic and stuff. Yes, quite right. Listen, they didn't exactly teach all this magic-y stuff in school. Ha! Of course not. That is why you have me. Calder let out another gaudy huff as he brushed his hair. He turned towards the enchanted prison plaques with a confident grin. Luckily for this sorry excuse of an investigation team, I have been breathing and deciphering arcane code since I was a toddler. Rest assured, I will uncover the root of this lab's secrets within the hour. The noble raised his hand, his eyes squeezed shut in concentration. Ooh, good animation. In a flash of magenta light, a heavy tome materialized and landed in the wizard's waiting palm. Alright, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon or YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!